In the grand tradition of professional implosion made famous by Alaska's Sarah Palin and South Carolina's Mark Sanford, the latest next big thing Republican governor becoming a casualty of his own behavior appears to be Bobby Jindal of Louisiana. Bobby Jindal got the political self-destruction started back in February as the official Republican responder to President Obama's big speech about the federal stimulus package. I speak, of course, of the performance that came to be known as the Howdy Doody speech.
I'm Bobby Jindal, governor of Louisiana.
After that rather inglorious debut in the national spotlight, the reputed fiscal conservative and government waste fighter developed a do as I say, not as I do problem. The latest chapter of which is this. Between March 2nd and July 28th, the governor used a taxpayer-funded helicopter to take 14 trips to churches at a cost of about $45,000 taxpayer dollars. That data comes to us from the Advocate newspaper of Baton Rouge. If Mr. Jindal was simply politicking, he's, of course, got a government waste problem here. If he was simply preaching and praying, he's sort of got a separation of church and state problem here. His profligate Sunday travel habit did catch the eye of the Reverend C. Welton Gaddy. He's the pastor of the Northminster Baptist Church in Monroe, Louisiana, and he's president of the Interfaith Alliance. Reverend Gaddy wrote this to Governor Jindal, quote, "It appears that you owe the people of Louisiana an apology and the treasurer of the state a reimbursement of at least $45,000 in addition to whatever money was spent in the period not covered by the Advocate's investigation. No taxpayer money should have been used for your travel." In response, Governor Jindal's spokeswoman, Melissa Sellers, decided that instead of addressing the issue, she would just go ahead and attack the Interfaith Alliance, saying, quote, "This political group opposes putting crosses up in honor of fallen policemen, has attacked the National Day of Prayer, and advocates for same-sex marriage." So it's not surprising that they're attacking the governor for accepting invitations to speak at Louisiana churches. By attacking the messenger, Governor Jindal's office may have hoped to distract attention from the governor himself. Sorry. We'll also recall that Governor Take the Chopper to Church is the same guy who mocked federal stimulus back in that Howdy Doody speech back in February.
While some of the projects in the bill make sense, their legislation is larded with wasteful spending.
Having said that, and having proudly announced that he planned to reject federal stimulus money, Governor Jindal then set off on a statewide tour, stopping in just about every parish in Louisiana, handing out Publishers Clearinghouse-sized checks drawn from both state and federal grant money, including, of course, funds from the stimulus package. Here he is in Lafayette. Here he is in Terrebonne Parish. Here he is in St. Landry Parish. Here he is in Vernon Parish, handing out money everywhere he goes. And who are these ginormous checks from? Well, they say they're from Bobby Jindal. We know because he endorsed the giant checks with his very own giant signature and put the governor's office up there in the corner as if he found all the money by cutting his own pencil allowance or something. The governor has been sold to us as a social moralist, a fiscal conservative, and an enemy of government waste. You know, none out of three ain't all that bad, is it? Joining us now is Reverend Dr. Welton Gaddy. He is a Baptist minister in Monroe, Louisiana. He is the president of the Interfaith Alliance, and full disclosure, he's my friend. Reverend Gaddy, thanks very much for being on the show. It's great to see you.
It's great to be with you again, Rachel.
Why did you take this action of writing the governor? Why did you feel like you needed to speak out about this?
Rachel, I was appalled that the governor of the state, who cares immensely about religion by his own confession, would not acknowledge and appreciate the best friend that religion has had in the United States, and that being the constitutional provision of religious freedom, which on the one hand prohibits the entanglement of institutions of government and institutions of religion, and on the other hand guarantees the free exercise of religion. And then when I heard the governor's explanation of his behavior, I was appalled even more, and I honestly do think he owes us, the citizens of the state, I think he owes us an apology, and he owes the state a reimbursement.
when you sent this letter, the governor's spokeswoman responded, and I knew that we were going to cover this story, but I decided that we definitely had to cover this story by having you on the air. When I saw what she said, her response to it was, in part, saying that the Interfaith Alliance advocates for same-sex marriage. So it's not surprising they're attacking the governor for accepting invitations to speak at Louisiana churches. It sounds to me that she is attacking your faith. She's attacking your religious credibility in attacking him because you're not anti-gay.
First of all, Rachel, I don't mind being attacked. I wish he had answered the question. The citizens of Louisiana deserve an answer to what's going on here and what he's going to do about it. Let me take very quickly the critique that his spokesperson offered. He said that we are supporting gay marriage. I personally did a paper, I think you may have seen a draft of it, in which I talked about the relationship between gay marriage and marriage legally and gay marriage in the religious community, and it is a religious liberty issue. Our point is not to tell anybody where they have to stand on that issue, but it is to say, for goodness sakes, keep the government out of the churches and houses of worship and other traditions by telling them what rituals they can practice and on whom they can practice them. He criticized us for challenging the case about establishing crosses along the roadside to honor patrolmen who had died in service. Our interest in that, I would think Governor Jindal would have been interested in himself. We oppose that case because the argument that's central to it says that the cross is not a religious symbol. The governor's a Catholic. He knows better than that. We did not attack the National Day of Prayer. We did express concern that that National Day of Prayer had been hijacked by right-wing extremists, and they had turned it into an exclusive exercise. And we think when you talk about prayer and meditation, that ought to be inclusive. So his spokesperson thought that she was being very critical of us. We took it as a compliment.
Well, and the reason that they attacked you for all of those things that you've now just defended yourself or explained yourself about is that they're taking a more Christian than thou approach to this issue. Governor Jindal has campaigned as much as anything as a Christian politician. He's made his faith absolutely central to his purported appeal, both in Louisiana as a politician and potentially nationally as a politician. And you're the head of the Interfaith Alliance. You yourself are a Baptist minister. I have to ask you, if railing against the stimulus and then going out to every parish in the state of Louisiana with giant checks of stimulus money, making it seem like that money came from him, putting his own name on those checks, disguising the fact that those funds came from something that he railed against as evil, is going to be a problem for him in terms of his overall character issues, in terms of campaigning using Christianity, his faith, as a stand-in for his supposed integrity.
Rachel, I'm not smart enough, wise enough to judge someone's character, and so I don't really care much about doing that. I don't really even care about his politics. I do care what he does to religion and to the integrity of the religious community. I know from the reporters at The Advocate who broke that story originally that on these trips to various churches, and they're not Catholic churches, they're not churches that he ordinarily goes to, that he talks about his conversion from Hinduism to Christianity, and he offers a sermon. Now, look, we didn't elect him to be pastor of the state of Louisiana. We elected him to be the governor of Louisiana. And what I hope is that his actions in the stimulus package bill, that money, his actions in using tax money to go to houses of worship now, I hope he doesn't think that he's doing either religion or government any favor. Religion will do just well without government intrusion and the government coming in the form of the governor and telling churches what they ought to do and how they ought to vote.
Separation between church and state is good for church and good for state. I think that's a well-put argument. Reverend Dr. Welton Gaddy, president of the Interfaith Alliance, himself a Baptist minister in Monroe, Louisiana, joining us from gorgeous Jackson, Mississippi tonight. Welton, it's great to see you. Thanks for being on the show.
Great to see you, Rachel. Thanks.